Welcome back to Talking Water. I'm David Eason, and we're once again with Graham Mann from switchwatersupplier.com. Hello, Graham.
Hi, David.
All the fun of the fair in the studio here. But it's important that we've got to get some messages across because, Graham, gone are the days of cheap water and wastewater bills.
Yeah. It's I say gone are the days for cheap water and wastewater bills. The highlight, I think, is one of them. It's Southern Water. You've also got other water companies as well. So there's increase in charges going forward above the rate of inflation for water, wastewater, surface water, highways drainage, and trade effluent wastewater as well.
And it's wholesale charges, like you say, and those increases are affecting everybody. But as the message is from switchwatersupplier.com, again, I'll say it again. Did you know that as a business you can switch your water supplier? And people still need to get that message, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. There are literally tens of thousands of businesses and organisations that haven't switched water supplier. It's been quite a busy month this month, probably a record month for us in terms of the amount of inquiries we've had just to audit bills. So it starts with the bill auditing, and if they haven't switched, then that's one of the first recommendations to as far as reducing their costs are concerned.
And does it affect different people in different ways, or is it just certain companies are doing different things to deal with these charges going up?
Well, yeah, there are some businesses that are water intensive, like both in production, but then you've got leisure centres, pool and leisure complexes. You've got golf courses again, and we sponsor Lake Tea Time.
You do the podcast,
which is really fun. We're finding a lot of work in the golf club sector. They use a huge amount of water for irrigation, as you well know. We find quite a lot that are on incorrect tariffs, and we're finding that quite a lot haven't switched. So, and there's significant savings once you start going out to market, coming off that you might be paying 10, 12, 14% more than you need to pay. So, at a stroke of a pen, you can reduce your costs.
Okay, let's talk about some of these individual companies then. Anglian Water is one that you've flagged up for us here. Big increases, and if you're on Anglian Water, you've got to be watching your bills in the next few months, years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Anglian Water is the wholesaler within the Anglian Water region, so you're looking at Cambridge, Peterborough, Lincoln, all around that area, and it's quite a dry area. The rainfall's low, and they do struggle to cope at sometimes, particularly during the summer, to supply businesses and also residential customers. But just looking at my notes there, 16.7% for water and 15.3% for wastewater. It's trade effluent. That's the effluent derived from production processes. Now, when you factor in a water and wastewater retail margin of between 4 and 10%, that's quite a significant increase on costs. So it's got to come from somewhere. It's going to be passed on to consumers.
Because what we've heard is private residences and people looking after their own water bills at home, there's leaks everywhere they've got to fix. They're still trying to find the money to fix those leaks. But as we've heard with different businesses, there's pipes and leaks on private land businesses. You need to go in and audit their whole setup and think, well, how do I save money here? It's not just in the bills, it's where the water's leaking on site as well.
Yeah. Another regards leakage again. We received another inquiry this week, and we're going onto site next week, where the leakage rate's gone up to 50 cubic meters a day. That's 50 tons of water per day. Over terms of a year, that's probably 50,000-60,000 pounds expenditure. But then when you look at the bills over a period of the last 2 years, it's been a steady increase, and the residential leisure park hasn't changed fundamentally in 2 or 3 years. You've got the same amount of residents doing the same thing day in, day out, and the costs are suddenly just steadily increasing. And when the residents start to get the bills of sort of 50, 60, 80 pounds a month for their water, they start kicking off, particularly as it's the mature end of the market. So these are retirees, and it's a lot of money. So they should be looking at £20 a month. That's too much, really. But it's 80, 90 pounds a month increase is quite substantial.
And that's savings that you can make, and savings that you're not handing on to people that, like I say, using your services as well. Customers will foot the bill in so many different ways. Another one you've mentioned is Thames. We hear about Thames a lot in the news. Always under pressure. I think in the news recently, we just heard that like Thames might well be, the area might be running out of water to actually, facilitate any kind of residency in the next 10, 20 years. We've got to really think about the way we use water, because it's not an infinite resource.
Thames Water in particular is taking a lot of hammer with regards to funding and debt across the business. But this year, I'm just looking at my notes here, 7.8% for metered water. Wastewater is 15.2%, and trade effluent, that's the waste that's derived from factories, is up 15.3%. That's the wholesale charges, and you factor in the retail margin between 4 and 12%, then that's the kind of increase you're going to be expected to bear. And it'll all be, with regards to businesses, it'll all be passed on to customers in a manufacturing process business. So, we're all going to pay for it ultimately.
So if you're a business owner, you run a business, and you've got water charges coming in from Anglian Water or Thames Water, or we mentioned that Southern Water as well, Graham, what's your message to people working with these big companies?
Well, my message is clear. This should be a catalyst for businesses and organisations now to identify those water bills, pull the water and wastewater bills out, get yourself a water audit, which will basically identify areas of savings, incorrect charges, and potentially switch your water supplier. And then you receive the water audit report, the desktop water audit report. And then if you want to proceed, you just proceed and send us a letter of authority to act. And then we crack on and issue your water supply contract to the whole market. And they'll pitch for your business over a 60-minute duration. And it's a competitive arena, and there's some very, very good pricing at the moment.
So people can bid for your bills, and the possible savings are large.
Absolutely. On top of the switching, of course, then you've got situations where you probably on the wrong tariff. You're probably being overcharging for many years, and that also can be rectified as well. So there's plenty to go at.
Thousands and thousands of pounds possible to be saved using switchwatersupplier.com. Let's have a look at one more company that you've brought up. We've just mentioned Southern Water. Southern Water, larger user tariffs being phased out. What does that mean for, let's say, people who use lots of water, businesses on those tariffs?
Well, yeah, essentially, Southern Water is going up quite substantially. We've got increases here of 18.3% for water, 13.1% for wastewater, 13% for trade effluent, that's trade effluent waste discharged from manufacturing process plants, and 13% for surface water and highways drainage charges. Now, there's a number of things that are going to be changing imminently with Southern Water, which is a large area that, according to my notes, my calculations, is going to affect predominantly 800 or so large users within the Southern Water area. The large water user tariff is basically a tariff that you pay an annual subscription fee, fixed fee, which is quite large, but then that has the effect of reducing your cost per cubic metre for water, wastewater and trade effluent. And so that's basically called a large user tariff. That is currently being phased out. And the reason for that is because they want to get away from sort of like the mindset, use more water, pay less, which I kind of do agree, because from a sustainability point of view, we really have to get a grip on this and use water more efficiently. The other thing that's happening is that the charges for surface water and highways drainage, that's changing, and surface water and highways drainage charges are basically a charge that the water companies levy for the collection and disposal of rainwater to their treatment works. There's various ways that they can do this, either a small fixed charge built into the wastewater tariff, but Southern Water are getting away with that, going away from that method of charge and going on to what's called site area. So the larger your site area, your roof and the surrounding properties, the larger your surface water and highways drainage will be. So that's kind of going to be a cost increase impact on large users with large sites.
So, you're watching Talking Water with me, David Easton, and Graham Mann from switchwatersupplier.com. We know water bills are going up. They're going up for us at home. They're definitely going up for business owners as well. So what can customers do to mitigate those increases in their charges, Graham?
Well, my first recommendation is to get yourself a water audit, a desktop water audit, which is basically you send us the bills, send us some information about your business or your businesses, and then we'll benchmark the charges, identify areas of overcharging, and then send you a prelim desktop audit report with recommendations for cost savings. And then if you want to proceed, there's a letter of authority to act, send that to us. If you haven't switched, then we'll put your water supply contract on the tender platform. You may well have switched 2 or 3 years ago and your contract's due for renewal, and without you knowing, you might be in default. So you might be paying default charges. If you've signed a 2-year contract 2 years ago, you could now be on default contract. And sometimes some of the retailers won't say anything; they'll just continue to bill you accordingly, and your accounts department will continue to pay the bills. So it makes sense. It's really, I think it should be a catalyst for April 1st, when the charges are going up, to look more seriously at those in-house costs. Savings wise, 10-12%. You could easily slash your cost by 20 to 30% or even more by switching and other water efficiency and wastewater measures.
And the audit that you do, you'll go on site, you'll go and see people, go and inspect factories, businesses, whatever that site might be, and a lot more savings to be had there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just involved with a glass factory at the moment who are recycling, so we switched them to a better price, a better supplier, and now we're looking at ways of recycling the water. So rather than using it once and throwing it down the drain, using it again. There's a massive opportunity in the UK, right across the board, for recycling water. We use it once; it can be relatively clean, and it's chucked down into the sewers. If it's a simple process like potato factories, any kind of factories really, where the water isn't too contaminated, you can recycle it for reuse. So you've got to be creative, think outside the box. But I suppose when our surveyors go on site, we look in from outside the forest into the woods, whereas a lot of businesses, they're there amongst the day-to-day running of a business and operations, and they perhaps don't realise what actually can be achieved. So it's not just switching, it's water efficiency, recycling, and then there's also a possibility potentially for alternative water supplies, off-grid water supplies, and we actually addressed that a few weeks ago. So you might be able to drill for your own water and supply yourself for manufacturing and production, or even the whole site for drinking water as well. Much depends on the water quality.
And in future, this is not going to change. We're looking at prices going up because water is becoming more scarce. The way we're using water at the moment is not helping that. It's just going to be more future price increases, so you've got to get savvy about it now.
Yeah, more the same. More the same. We are seeing marked increases in activity through social media, and our partners who work in the energy markets. We're seeing a lot of energy consultants and energy consultancies actually partnering up with us. So they're specialists in energy, and now they're getting high demands for water services. They haven't got the in-house expertise. So they're joining us as strategic partners, which is really, really good for us. It's fantastic. The message, I guess, is it's been driven not only by cost reduction, but also sustainability. Only last week we had 20 inquiries from schools. That's unprecedented. So I asked the bursar of one school why there was this huge influx from schools, and he said, well, it's compulsory for us now. We've got to look at energy and water, and water's now come to the top of the tree. So it's good for business, but it's good for the environment, and of course the schools concerned to get control of their costs.
Graham Mann from switchwatersupplier.com. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, David.